All right, now that we're pretty much finished with our image and you've learned some different techniques for the Photoshop compositing, I actually had another idea I wanted to show you real quick as I was looking at this image, and maybe you've already thought of this. What I'm going to do first is lock this top layer, otherwise as I try to select things, it's only going to select the layer on top. So I'm going to click on this little lock icon, and now I can select what's below it. I thought about this, like what if we had this guy dangling over like a fire pit or something? So I'm going to drag him up, and you'll notice that the other effects I applied didn't come with it. So before I get too far here, let's grab the layers that I used to create this effect. Let's grab the layers of him, and I'm not going to grab the flame right now. I'll grab the original. And there's a couple ways we can do this. I could group them, Command G to group them into one group. And you'll notice his shadow didn't come with that. Let's click on that layer to see which one that is. Okay, so there's that layer. So I'm just going to drag it up here, put it inside that folder, so now that all comes together. The other thing I could do is shift click to highlight all of those. We'll right click, and now I'll link these layers. So you'll see this little chain link with all these layers. So now I can click and drag anywhere and they all stick together. So what I'm thinking is I could bring him up here a little bit, and since he's in the air, that shadow doesn't make sense anymore. So let's turn that off and maybe turn him a little bit. I could even click and then hold down the command key after I click to maybe, well, that doesn't look too real anymore, but what I was thinking is having him like dangling up here, and I could bring this hook down from the background. So let's select that real quick. I'm going to right click. This is tied to my Creative Cloud, so I'm going to right click and rasterize this layer, basically bring it in and flatten it into this image. And let's do a quick selection around this thing. I don't want to take too much time, so I'm just going to hit let's try the quick selection tool. Let's just kind of paint real quick. I just want to see if this effect even works like I want it to. Holding down the Alt key to refine that. Now what I'm going to do is move this down, and there's a few ways we can go about it, but if I come over to let's find this real quick, the Content Aware Move tool. So just letter J gets us there. I can click and drag this down a little bit. Let's just put it down here. And I'll let go, and let's see how good a job Photoshop does. Not too bad. We need to refine this a little bit, but you'll see that it filled in the background with the bricks. Gets a pretty decent effect. I hit Command D to deselect, and now if I wanted to, I could come back in here, and there's a few different ways we can do it. What I like to do is get my lasso tool. I'll click and drag around right here, and then Control Shift Delete brings up my fill. And instead of filling with foreground color, I'm going to fill with Content Aware. I'll select that and hit OK. And now it starts to fill in with the background to remove some of these lines from what was left over. So I'm just clicking and dragging, Control Shift Delete to bring up my fill. And I'm not going to spend too much time here because you could play with this all day long. But anyway, you can see I've effectively moved down that hook, and you could actually find a fresh image maybe to do a better job. And then I could come back in here and maybe paint in some of these cables with just the brush tool, or there's a lot of ways to do it. But now make it look like maybe he's hanging from his suspenders or something ridiculous like that over the fire. So hopefully that's not too sinister, but I don't know. It's where my mind went looking at this image. So have fun with it. Keep pushing it on, and when you're all done, make sure you save your editable PSD file. So just Command S to save that real quick. And then when you want to show your friends and family what you've been up to, come up here to File, Export, Export As, and we can really control the settings of this image by changing the quality or the file type. And you can see right here, this would be 2.1 megabytes, which is great. I can hit Export, and it'll spit out a JPEG for me. I can put it right where I need to go. We'll put my files sent. I'll hit export, and now it's saved out a JPEG that I can share with whomever wants to see this thing.